Hi, I'm Lisa Durkin, and I wrote a manuscript. It's called "Out of Her Skin." I want you to imagine if Dean Koontz wrote The Hunger Games. Yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah. Okay, that kind of scares a few of you. I know it kind of scares me too. All right, so any questions about that? All right, I'm moving on. All right, so here it goes. The musky smell of the drainage ditch never changed. An endless stream of clear, cold water swirled slow and inviting as Amelia rumbled on a motorcycle along the levee. She perched several feet above the canal, swathed in green grass and tall willows. Straddled by two levees, the ditch was situated across from the cottonwood bosque that bordered the Rio Grande, a green ribbon in the desert. After stashing the bike behind a thicket of elms, Amelia found a secluded space within the shady branches to unwrap her sandwich and nibble, relishing every bite. Lacy watercress waved, caressed by passing water. Birds twittered as she stripped off her orange prison garb. She hadn't been able to clean the bloodstains away, but they had faded into the grime of everyday living. Tossing the garment into the stream, she watched as they floated away. She didn't mourn their loss. Sunshine baked her skin. Before she roasted, she scrabbled to the motorcycle to retrieve her new clothes. A fresh garment would feel delicious. But first she needed a good bath. While rifling through the leather bag, she spotted the scissors. This would be a perfect time to cut her tangled hair. She would be less recognizable with it short. Pulling down tufts, she did her best to make the cuts even and uniform. Certainly, looking any worse would be a challenge. Clumps of filthy hair dropped through the sunlit air and settled into the water, washing away on the same path as the orange rags. With the last snip, Amelia slipped the scissors back into the saddlebags while maneuvering around the bike to retrieve her prized shampoo and conditioner. Standing in the water, she stopped cold. A glint flashed on the opposing levee in the distance. Her heart jerked. A black car crept along the levee. She glanced for a millisecond at the motorcycle. If they caught her, they would also find her only possessions. Amelia sprung across the cold water, splashing and clawing up the sandy embankment. She plunged into the bosque. Twigs and thorns on the floor bit into her bare feet. Branches snared her skin. This is not good. Breathing hard, she focused on finding a dark crevice where she could hide and dart back to the ditch at the best opportunity. Wheels rolled across the gravel behind her. Her skin crawled up her back. Giant crisscrossing rusty iron jetty jacks held together by heavy cables stood in a huge straight line like an ancient army of 15-foot soldiers. Vines covering them provided a screen to hide. Amelia's heart throbbed in her throat. Had they seen her? It was just about here where I saw it, Marcos, a male voice said as he pointed out the open passenger side window. I don't know what it was, but it sure was in a hurry. Chest heaving, she swallowed hard to control rasping breaths. The car traveled a few more feet and rolled to a stop. Amelia crouched, becoming an inconspicuous bundle. Car doors slammed as two brown-haired men in red uniforms strolled over and peered into the forest. One was squat and bald, while the other, a little man, appeared to be made of brown wire. I don't see nothing, Tony, the pudgy one said. I only caught the tail end, but I know I saw something, he replied. Why don't you go make a thorough search while I fish, Marcos said. Bullshit, bro. We're both fishing. Yeah, I hear you're a real master baiter. They laughed and rummaged through the trunk. Straining her ears, all she could hear were mumbles. After another chuckle, the men began shuffling through the dry foliage. They headed straight towards the line of jetty jacks on their way to the river. One of them paused to urinate against a tree. It seemed to take an hour. Surely the men could hear her heart hammering, but Amelia couldn't make it stop. When they continued on, Amelia inched along the line of jetty jacks to the opposite end so she could switch sides as they passed behind the jacks. With each snap she cringed. She crept along like a deer wary of a predator. You should have seen that German brown I caught last spring up in the San Juan, bro. It must have been at least 2 feet long. Marcos had an untold story woven into his voice. There I was. It was hot and sunny, and I was all sweaty. It took me half an hour to snag that fish, a slimy little bastard. Marcos laughed, and just when I was reeling it in, snap, the line broke. Their dark figures brindled through the branches only a few feet away. She held her breath as they passed, every muscle taut, ready to spring, jaws clenched, eyes wide open. I jumped into the water all splashing up to my elbows. It was the coldest damn water. I was trying to grab that slippery devil with my bare hands and it kept squirting away. Waving his arms, Marcos acted the scene with teeth blazing. Apparently they had forgotten all about her. Up ahead, she only needed 6 more feet before she could move to the other side unnoticed. I struggled with that booger for like an hour, and you would think that stupid fish would be all tired, no? But it kept slipping between my fingers like a greased pig. I swear, bro. One painful step at a time, Amelia crunched through the dry leaves and thorny twigs, willing her passage to go unnoticed. Before I know it, Carlos has the net and he's all splashing in the water. I told him, cut that shit out, Carlos. I can't see. And then I step on this slick rock and bam, I'm under. Hee-ho, that water was so damn cold and my feet couldn't grip the rocks. With all that slime and shit down there, I swear I was ready to kill that kid. But when I finally stood up, there he was with the fish in the net and the biggest, big-ass grin on his face. I swear, bro. A full range of belly laughs danced in the air as Amelia turned the corner to sneak across the open expanse that they had just covered. The black car just ahead might even have keys dangling from the ignition. Ah, wait, Tony, I forgot my bait. It'll just take a second. The hair on her neck stood on end. She couldn't go back. She had to run, bolting from the levee in the car. She hurdled dead bushes and fallen tree trunks. There it is, Marcos shelled and launched towards Amelia. I think it's a naked chick. It only took 3 steps before Marcos tripped, landing hard. But Tony was right behind him, running with heavy breath. Heart-thundering, Amelia hardly registered the cuts and tears inflicted on her feet as she barreled through the branches. Just as she clambered up the steep incline onto the levee, Tony tackled her, smashing her shoulders into a trunk of a huge cottonwood. I got her, Tony yelled. Bolts of jarring pain incapacitated her arm. Amelia thrashed, belting him in the face with her other elbow. Groaning, Tony reared back, giving her a chance to squirm from beneath him. Then Marcos landed squarely on her ribs. She sure is a slippery little sucker, a loud crack sent the breath from her lungs. Amelia fought. She fought to breathe, she fought to flee, but the 2 men were too strong. With a vice grip, Marcos held her wrist while Tony pinned her with his bony knee, sweat dripping from his scratched face. They bound her hands behind her back with a plastic zip tie and pitched her into the back of the black car where she landed face first. Man, oh man, does she ever stink, Tony rolled down the window. Hee-ho, I can't believe we walked right past her without smelling her. Wiping blood from the corner of his nose, Marcos replied, what do you suppose she's doing down here? I mean, she must be crazy or something to be living in the bosque running around all naked, he chuckled. Hey, bro, maybe we caught oh God, now I can say it. Hey, bro, maybe we caught La Llorona. Thank you. La Llorona. Miranda squirmed to an upright position. Perhaps she did look a little bit like the ditch witch.